Hey guys, I've been meaning to do this video for some time now, and I've got a few minutes to spare, so I'm going to give you my favourite war movies of all time. And I'm going to give you my top 10, and I'm going to have a quick, very quick talk about each one, and with the rider that this is going to be, I would say, somewhat controversial, but the important thing here to remember is these are my favourite war movies of all time, and I'm certain there are a lot of other movies out there better produced, or better sound effects, or better acting, or more realistic, but I've just gone and chosen the ones that I really like, have left a sort of impact on me over the years, and I thought I'd share them with you. So stand by, because we're going to launch into the top 10 right now. And number 10 is Paths of Glory, and this is a 1957 movie starring Kirk Douglas, and he's a French officer during World War One, I think it is, and he is a colonel, and his men are subject to brutal conditions on the front line, and they are accused of mutiny, and he sets out to defend them. And this is a absolute classic war movie, and really a telling story about war, men, and the brutality of it all. Can't recommend Paths of Glory highly enough. Every true grognard should have watched this, or should watch this movie. So, number 10, Paths of Glory with Kirk Douglas. So, coming in at number 9 is Braveheart, starring Mel Gibson. This is a 1995 movie. I'm sure most of you have seen it, and tells the story of a Scotsman, Sir William Wallace, who begins a revolt against King Edward I of England. And what do I like about this movie? I don't have the DVD with me at the moment, but the action scenes are really well done. Mel Gibson portrays the character really well. It's a really powerful movie, and as I said, the action scenes and the battles are just fantastic. The one of my all-time favourite movies. Comes in at number 9. Again, highly recommended movie. Okay, coming in at number 8. How many of you have seen this one? Midway. This is a 1976 movie, obviously about the Battle of Midway, and this has got a stellar cast of characters and actors. Certainly if you're getting around my age, you'll recognise some of these guys. So you got the likes of Charlton Heston, Henry Fonda, James Coburn, and even Robert Mitchum, Robert Wagner, and it goes on. So a really stellar cast of characters. The movie is about, obviously, Midway, which was a very interesting naval air battle, and it just portrays the battle in a very interesting way. Hugely tense movie, and I've always enjoyed it. Watched it numerous times now, and it's a movie I'll watch again in the future at some stage. Midway. There are certainly much better movies out now in terms of naval movies or air combat, but this is a real classic. So that's my number 8, Midway. And coming up in number 7 is, I'm sure you've all seen this, Platoon. Filmed in 1986, about a young recruit in Vietnam who's got that moral dilemma, moral crisis about the war. Stars William Dafoe and Charlie Sheen and Tom Berenger's, that pretty creepy character there. I first saw this movie when I was in Australia on a basketball trip, actually. Went into the movies, and it was one of those movies, a bit like Star Wars, that I came out of and thought, wow, I haven't seen anything like this before. It was the really first true gritty movie that pulled no punches about war, and had a real impact on me, and they certainly cast Vietnam in a interesting light. A very, very gritty, intense movie, but yeah, highly recommended if you haven't seen it. An all-time great movie. That's Platoon, coming in at number 7. Okay, number 6, here we go. Von Ryan's Express, 1965 movie, starring none other than Frank Sinatra. This is a story about Sinatra, who's a American pilot in World War II, gets captured, and he leads a group of prisoners, mainly British prisoners, to safety. Hey, this movie is not realistic in many ways. It's made in that old-fashioned way where you don't see any bloodshed or gore. Sort of whitewashes war movies a little bit, but what an entertaining movie. Just one, I was young when I first saw it with my dad, and I thoroughly enjoy this movie, and I even recommend it for people that are a lot younger than me now. It's a great movie, one of my all-time favourites, Von Ryan's Express. Be interested to hear how many of you guys think the same in regards to that one. Here we go, number 5. So we're carrying on with the Ryan theme. We've got Saving Private Ryan. We all know this movie. There's no one out there that doesn't. I'm absolutely sure of that. And this is a 1998 movie. Was it that long ago? Isn't that amazing? Crazy. By Steven Spielberg, starring Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, set in World War II. Need I say any more? Just a groundbreaking movie. And I think many people would have that really up closer to their number 1 movie of all time. For me, it comes in at number 5, but just outstanding piece of filmography. Okay, coming in at number 4. I think a few people might disagree with me on this one, but here we go. Gettysburg. Pretty appropriate given that we're playing the US Civil War at the moment, and we're playing Gettysburg, the Guns of Gettysburg very soon. But the movie itself, I really, really like it. It was filmed in 1993, and the two main actors, Tom Berenger, Martin Sheen, and others. And I think it just does a fantastic job of portraying that battle. And sure, it's not perfect in all senses, but I love that movie. I keep watching it over and over. And that's number 4 on my list. Absolutely enjoy that movie. Here we go, coming into the top 3. And here we go, number 3 on my list. The Train. I bet a lot of you haven't seen this movie. Black and white, if I recall correctly, 1964, starring Burt Lancaster, directed by John Frankenheimer. I'm a fan of rail and rail travel as well as military history, and this movie combines both. This movie has the best military scenes in regard to trains and train action and rail yards, and the story itself concerning a German colonel who loads a train in France with art treasures, and the French resistance are out to stop leaving France is a fascinating story, and a gritty story again, a little bit whitewashed in that movies going back to this area back in the 60s, you didn't see the blood, you just see the bodies get knocked over and the like, so there's whitewashing going on, But in terms of the action, there's no special effects here in terms of computers. This is all the real stuff, and you see trains getting blown up and destroyed. You see rail yards getting destroyed. So you've got this fantastic action, a really interesting storyline. This is one of my all-time favourite war movies. Check it out. See what you think. Let me know. That's number 3, The Train. Okay, here we go. Number 2. And this is going to be controversial. And I know what a lot of you are going to say straight away. This is not a movie, but this deserves to be on the list of any list of this nature. And that is Band of Brothers. Okay, yes, it's not a movie. I realise that. It's a TV series, but wow. As good as any war movie ever, even better than Saving Private Ryan in my opinion. And what really more can I say about it? Yeah, it's a story that's based on real life, and just the fact that you see some of the characters from the actual events being interviewed during the series is outstanding stuff. And boy, does it capture your emotions, this movie as well, this series. That's why I've got it at number 1. It is just an outstanding series, and I could not put it on my top 10 war movies of all time, because this is up there as one of the absolute best. That's Band of Brothers. Okay, so what's my number 1 movie of all time, war movie? Well, I'll give you a clue. Think about the name of my YouTube channel. Does that give you an idea? Well, it is Waterloo. And this is a 1970s movie about the Battle of Waterloo, obviously. And I recall seeing this when I was very young in the theatres, and this got me hooked on Napoleonic warfare as my favourite period of warfare. And even today, this movie is my number 1 movie, just because of the grandeur of it. If you haven't seen it, you need to go out and see this movie. I mean, it's got Rod Steiger, Christopher Plummer, Orson Welles, Jack Hawkins, which characters that aren't familiar with most of the younger generation, but to us oldies, they're well known. And the scope of this movie is what gets me. It's just phenomenal how so many extras and cast in this movie to create this battle scene with literally thousands of troops, and the cavalry charges against the British squares in this movie. Some of the greatest military scenes in the movie history, as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely amazing how many cavalry and infantry stand-ins or casts were used in this amazing movie. Just in the grandeur and the scope of the production. Again, slightly whitewashed. You don't see that much in the way of blood and guts, which is a shame, because we need to show war as it really is. But this, my friends, is my favourite war movie of all time. Waterloo, Orson Welles, starring as Louis the 18th, and Rod Steiger does an amazing job as Napoleon. And if you haven't seen this movie and you're remotely interested in military history, this is one I really, really recommend. So that is my top 10 movies of all time. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'd be interested to hear your comments as to whether you agree with any of those or whether they fit in with your top 10. As I said earlier, this is not necessarily the best movies of all time, war movies of all time, but they certainly are my favourites. And yeah, I'd be interested to know if any of those are your favourites as well. Hey, take it easy, everyone. Thanks for watching. We're still playing our US Civil War campaign, and we'll be playing the Guns of Gettysburg in the next few weeks. So keep watching, and have a great day.